So, Raphael, got a really interesting conversation I want to have with you.
What you got going?
Man, I've been thinking about this for a while. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, there was really two action juggernauts that you saw on screen going back and forth, competing for that number one spot. And that was Stallone and Schwarzenegger.
I can agree to that.
So I think I finally got to the point in my life that I want to have an open conversation with somebody about which one's the better actor.
Okay.
What do you think?
Better actor? Stallone all day.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Stallone all day. Now, like I will say that, Arnold was in just as many roles as Stallone. Cause I feel like they was like competing, I felt like.
Dude, they like in the 90s
Yeah.
especially, it's like one would come out with a big box office hit, then the other one would strike
Like
back.
right after, it's like, damn, y'all motherfuckers. So I like they like the body of work, yeah. I feel like they're neck and neck, but and not saying that, Arnold is a terrible actor, but I feel like Stallone was a better actor than him. You
And
know?
that's where I'd have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Stallone spent more time investing into the characters. Like when
Yes.
he did Rambo, like he actually worked with ex-military veterans that had
Yes.
PTSD and stuff like that, so he can really dive into the character and really create that character.
What they call that, method acting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where like with Schwarzenegger, the guy has like a physique. Like this guy is
That's
like
what I'm
huge.
saying. Like he's
And I think that's like early on at least was his number one attribute is this is a big motherfucker. Let's
put him in
get
some-
him in something and
blow some shit up.
blow some shit up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I felt like.
And he
when it
really
came to him.
broke the mold. Like if you look at some of the interviews that Schwarzenegger's done, he talks about the early days in Hollywood that a lot of people wouldn't cast him. They said, nobody has that physique, nobody has that body. You need to lose weight, get rid of some of that muscle, and he really broke that boundary.
Yeah.
And you see him in Hercules in New York in 1970, I believe. And then you see him later on in the 80s with his first breakthrough role as Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
And like,
Still one of my favorites. There was a lot of famous people in that movie.
yeah.
Like it was a lot of famous people in that movie.
And like when I think of a barbarian, like I can't not think of Schwarzenegger. Dude is ripped.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't want to go hand to hand with
What?
either of them, but
Who else played the Conan the Barbarian? Arnold wasn't the only. Somebody else played Conan the Barbarian. It was like was it Jason Momoa? Didn't he do like a
remix?
He did like a remake.
Maybe. I mean, I could see that though. He's a
Like-
big guy too.
I want to say like he did one maybe like a few years back. Like it's not like new, but it's newer. Like it was a different spin on it. I think it was Jason Momoa. I could be wrong.
I'll be honest with you. After like the early 2000s, there's just so many different action stars now. It's really hard to keep up.
Yeah.
And that's where I think like Schwarzenegger and Stallone, I kind of cast them as the two greatest of all time.
Oh, of course.
Because when they were coming up, you had other stars like Tom Cruise and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But as far as like just huge, larger than life
Yeah.
action juggernauts, they were the two. I mean, you got Bruce Willis and some other guys out
Oh
there.
yeah.
But
Mel Gibson, but like
Mel Gibson.
But those I feel like those movies, like, how can I say this? Like, not saying like they were like ass movies or like the people in them, were bad actors, but like it's like you have to take, like when you say or when you talk about this movie, you have to take them all. Like you can't say, oh, I can just watch, or I just like Just Lethal Weapon 1 or Just Lethal Weapon 3. Like you really have to watch. You have to take it as a collective.
Correct.
The diehards. You have to take it with the collective. Like you can't not have one without the other. So I think that's what differs with kind of with their movies, because like, yeah, I like all the Rockies, but I don't have to watch all of them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can hit like 2 of them. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that.
Yep.
But with Lethal Weapon, like I wanna watch all of them.
Exactly.
I gotta watch all of them. But yeah, I definitely feel Stallone is the better actor.
Yeah, yeah, and I think his best character, which is my favorite character, is Rocky.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I remember as a kid, and here's kind of the thing with Schwarzenegger and Stallone for me is when I was a kid, Stallone was less appealing. His
Hmm.
movies were more drama based.
Yes.
Deep storytelling, character
Hmm.
development. Where like with Schwarzenegger, um, when I was a kid watching his movies, yeah, Terminator scared the shit out of me. I mean, I spent
I remember you
several
told me
years of my life
that.
wondering if
You
I was
told
like
me.
a John Connor variant, and these Terminators would come to my house at night when I'm sleeping and kill me. Like, dude, like I was so scared that I remember as a kid, like after the sun would go down, if I saw a car coming down the road moving slow, like just at a creeping pace, like I remember hiding in bushes and like hiding
Told him,
behind
get out of here,
trees.
man.
No, for real, for real. Because that's what you see in those action sci-fi
Yeah,
movies. The
yeah. I mean,
car's creeping in, like okay, that's a Terminator about to hit the gas and come run me over or shoot my ass.
all the warning signs was there. You like, man, I didn't seen this before.
Yep. And all the while, I'm just a dumbass kid doing dumbass shit, just in my thoughts. Um, but you know, the Schwarzenegger thing was very appealing to me as a kid because he had all these one-liners. Even in like Terminator, as scary as it was like, "I'll be back."
Yeah.
Um, you know, one of my favorite lines, which I think I used the most as an adult from the Terminator movies, is when he says, "Fuck you, asshole." And I think
Yeah.
I've used that phrase more than anything in my
Oh
entire
yeah.
life. But Schwarzenegger had all those catchy lines. I remember watching Kindergarten Cop, and man, I probably annoyed the shit out of my parents walking around the house saying,
Good morning.
or "It's not
That's
the tumor, it's just a headache. Take some aspirin."
who is your dad and what
What
does
does
he
he
do?
do?
That's one of my favorites out of that movie too.
Dude, that's one of my favorite movies. Some
Yeah,
people shit on it,
yeah.
but because it's not so much of an action
I
movie.
ain't gonna lie, Jingle All the Way, bro. Like that's okay. So when we talk about that movie, and I know it's a kids movie, but you need to watch that as an adult, like with adult thoughts and lens, because low key Arnold was fucking hilarious in that
Yeah,
movie, man. Like it was like some of his best acting. Like that shit was funny. And I'm assuming because I mean he had a good supporting cast, so he had Phil Hartman in there,
yep,
he had Sinbad, like he had a good cast, but like he like I wouldn't expect for him to make a movie like that because like every movie we see him in, he blowing something blowing up. You saw he
yeah,
blowing up some shit.
exactly.
Commando, like he just blowing up shit. So to see him in like in a domestic role, he actually did pretty good. The shit was
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
The
it's
shit was
definitely a funny
funny.
movie. Kind of on the least favorite end of mine.
Hmm.
But I watched it under that kid filter where it's like
Yes,
I'm wanting shit to blow up. It wasn't enough action for me, so I think I really do need to go back and watch it as an
watch
adult.
it. Cause that motherfucker when they was in that store and they was trying to get that Turbo Man.
It's probably like watching Shrek as an adult. Like when you
Oh
watch it as a
yes,
kid, like all the subliminal stuff goes
yes,
past you.
yes,
But as an
yes.
adult, you're like, damn, that's kind of risky for the kids watching.
Very
A
much
lot
so.
of adult content in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely watch Jingle All the Way. I watched it here recently, and I watched it back to back. The shit was funny, man. That shit was funny.
What about True Lies?
Oh,
Dude, that's one of my favorite movies that he put out.
I can agree with that. I ran that in the ground too.
Dude.
Had a young Eliza Dushka.
Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, True Lies was definitely one of my favorite movies. Um, playing that double agent. Some of the stuff that he does in his movies are a little unrealistic, and I think that's what appealed to me as a kid. He was just so far off the charts with some of the stuff, like
Yep.
jumping off one rooftop to another on a horse.
Like I didn't understand that. Like,
Well, he tried to jump the horse.
yeah,
Yeah, so the terrorist, he jumped off with the motorcycle
yeah,
into the pool,
into that pool.
and he
Yeah,
tried to jump off the roof, and the horse was like, "Nah, bro, we ain't
yeah,
doing
yeah. He ain't
this."
doing that shit. Yeah.
He's like,
You done already got me in this elevator. I was crunched up. You got me
Mhm.
doing shit I don't normally do. I ain't
Bro,
definitely
like
ain't jumping off this building.
he did all that running with 1 horsepower. He's like, "I'm tired. I'm out of gas.
Yeah, yeah,
Feed
he
me
was
some
done with
carrots and
that
some
shit.
oats before I do this."
Damn, True Lies.
You know what I liked about that movie growing up in Miami is that they filmed a lot of that in Miami and the Keys.
Oh shit,
So for me, like anytime I saw a movie,
that's a hometown movie.
yeah, exactly.
Then the Predator movies that Arnold was in.
Yep, that was a scary one.
Yeah, that
Like
was,
hearing that clicking noise the Predator makes.
yeah.
Dude, like
That's the best though.
as a kid, I'd watch that movie and I'd walk around the house like, did I see something move? Is there like something in here watching me? Like you ever have that happen where
Oh
you watch
yeah.
sci-fi movies and then all the bullshit you're seeing you think is happening around you?
Yes, yes. You start to like manifest that into your real existence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another one of those movies with some corny lines. One of the ones I used all the time as a kid was, "Get to the chopper,
Oh yeah.
get to the chopper."
Get to the chopper.
Man, I'm
That's
kind
a calling card that's on duty. Like when you exfil properly, it's literally called get to the chopper.
of. You know, there's like a Mandela effect around that. Like when I was a kid, I swore the line for that was, "Billy, get to the chopper," but it's just, "Get to the chopper."
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah, like my whole family, like everybody I knew would always say, "Billy, get to the chopper."
Yeah, I've never heard that. That's
Yeah, yeah. So
like,
maybe it's one of those like small scale Mandela
yeah,
effects. Maybe it's a Tony effect. I
might
don't know.
be.
My dumb ass was probably running around the
Might
house
be.
saying it, adding the Billy in there.
Yeah. No, because you do be hearing a lot of things different as a child, and then like you just think like, hey, that I think that's really what they be saying, and then you say it out in public. I'm like, that's
Mhm.
not right.
Then one of the other lines from that movie, you know, growing up with siblings, I would look at my brother and my sister and be like, "You're one ugly motherfucker."
Yeah, he did say that
Yeah,
when the predator took his what you call it off.
yeah, yeah.
I remember that.
Dude,
Fucking Tango and Cash.
dude, that's
Syl
an old movie.
Stallone. I don't know. That just popped in my head because that movie that is one of my favorite Stallone movies. Like
Yes.
top 5
You know, the thing
all
about
day.
Stallone is he has a lot of really good movies that are
Mm-hmm.
kind of like low key movies. Like a lot of people don't even know they exist. Like you ever like talk to somebody and they'd never seen Demolition Man? That is like one of the most underrated movies in
Very underrated.
existence.
Very underrated. And like when it was released, like Taco Bell did a whole like thing with them,
Fuck yeah, they
like
did.
um for their advertisement. For a while, like you couldn't really get rid of Demolition Man. Like it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And that shit was everywhere. But yeah, I could. I don't know how like you haven't seen Demolition Man. like I don't.
Yeah, if you're watching and you hadn't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah. Watch Demolition Man. Him
Let us
and
know in the
Wesley.
comments what you think. Yeah, man.
Yeah, him and
That's a
Wesley
great
did
duo.
it. Yeah. That
Like,
was.
I gotta admit, that's probably Wesley Snipes' best role in my opinion. I know you're probably gonna say like Blade or something else, but man,
I don't
the
know,
way
man.
he played that character.
Passion 57 was fire. Drop Zone was fire. Damn. I just like Wesley and Blade because like he like everybody don't want it, people don't want to admit it, but that motherfucker saved Marvel with Blade.
He sure did.
He saved Marvel.
Dude, you know how like all these celebrities are remaking their movies? You see it with like Stallone. You know, he closed out the Rocky story by handing it off to Creed in the second Creed movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he came back and did Rambo: Last Blood. I would really love to see Stallone come through and do like a Demolition Man 2 or
That would be.
you know, I would love to see like another Judge Dredd movie. You
Oh
know, forget the new one that came out. I wasn't a
man.
big fan of it, but I'd love to see him play the same character
Oh,
years later. Would that not be awesome?
oh my God. I forgot all about damn Judge Dredd. I don't know how, cause the game was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You got
that's one of his best roles.
you got Rob Snyder in there too.
Yeah, he was the robot when he got broke out of jail. He tried to hide in the robot.
hmm Dude, that robot fucking scared the shit out of me as a kid. Like Terminator, man, those endoskeletons,
Tony, you must have a lot
T-800s.
of past trauma. A lot of a lot of this
Man,
stuff you saying that scare you is
yeah, like we're in the
crazy.
age of AI. You know, now they got fucking robot maids now coming out. I should be scared, but I'm not. When I was a kid, man, I was scared of the Terminator. I think it was called the ABC Warrior in Judge Dredd, that big ass
Oh
robot
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
tore that guy's like limbs
Mm-hmm.
off. Dude, like I spent my life in my mind running from robots that didn't exist as a kid. Except for Bender. I like Bender. He was cool.
Oh, Futurama.
Yeah, yeah.
I ain't really never. I always catch like maybe 3 to 5 minutes of random episodes. I don't like. I've never sat down and watched an episode of Futurama, but I hear it's amazing.
For real.
Yeah, I've never watched Futurama.
Okay, when we're done recording today, we're gonna watch some Futurama.
All right.
Dude, I'm gonna show you the episode. No, I can't show you the episode with Fry's dog. You gotta get some character development before you get to that.
I got you.
I get you. So the other thing about Stallone, which is interesting about his characters, like some of the movies he's come up with, or at least partnered with in the past, it's like characters you wouldn't even think. It's like he did that movie Over the Top. So let's do a movie about like a trucker that arm wrestles.
That was
Like
very
who
weird.
thinks about that?
Yeah,
It was actually a pretty good movie.
it was a good movie.
Yeah,
Now, don't get me
yeah.
wrong, it was a good movie. It was just weird.
Yeah.
Just because you said nobody.
And like if you
nobody-
tried to make that movie today,
Oh, ain't nobody
You
watching
couldn't.
that shit.
like Kindergarten Cop, great movie. There's one line in that movie you couldn't get away with today, and it's not even a
Oh.
line that
It's about the little boy.
the little boy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I knew this.
Yeah. He says, "Girls have a
penis in
wait." I fucked that up.
a
The little boy was like, "Boys have a penis."
and girls have a vagina.
Yeah,
And I was like, wow.
yeah. At the time it was
But
funny, but you can't say that
You
shit
can't
now.
say that shit
No,
now.
no.
You can't say that now.
I'm surprised that movie hasn't got canceled.
Yeah, like everything else, they try to retro cancel.
Yeah,
Like, how can you retro cancel some shit? Like, you gonna cancel some shit because like now you just
man. Like
whole
if we get
cancel
to a
culture's
point where we
crazy.
have like time machines, they're gonna go back in time and cancel that shit.
man. That's why I wouldn't mind having some time machines and step through a portal or something. Go to
Man, I just go back and buy some Bitcoin,
that.
invest in Google.
I go to the
Amazon.
60s and grab all of the issue number 1, Spider-Mans, Supermans, Green Lanterns, just in stacks
Mhm.
because they 12 cent.
Yeah.
they was 12 fucking cent.
Imagine bringing some 9/8 Back to the Future. And that's a Back to the Future movie we want. Not no sports magazine.
Tony, I swear to God, if that was possible, I would just take $5 with me.
Get some Michael Jordan rookie cards too.
Boy, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Just like I was a hot tub time machine. He changed Google to Lugal. Then you talking about Over the Top. What other Stallone movies?
So he did that other movie, Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger wasn't that bad.
It was a good movie, but it's like that's just again a weird,
Yeah, it was a weird, movie.
story. Yeah, some people don't like to watch what they consider like shoot 'em up movies. That's my mom. She's like, yeah,
Yeah.
shoot 'em up movies. Well, half the fun.
It's yeah.
I mean, when you're a kid growing up in the '90s,
That's what you want to see.
you want to see
Yeah.
explosions, guns, people walking out of limos with doves flying out as it explodes. I mean, shit like that. But one thing about Stallone, his character, he played one, I think it was in the '90s, played a character called Oscar. When he was a gangster, he played a
Wasn't
character.
that the name of the movie?
Yeah.
I've never watched that either.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was a pretty good movie. And then now you have a TV series called Tulsa King, where he plays a gangster that just got out of prison, and he's basically banished to go run operations in Tulsa and starts up a new racket.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, like, I'm very impressed with this show. Don't quote me. This may not be the first Stallone TV series, but man, this thing's great. Like, I didn't start watching until the second season dropped, and I just binge watched everything.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he's ever had a TV series.
No, I don't think so. But Schwarzenegger came out with that Fubar series on Netflix a year or two ago. It was pretty good.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So he plays, I believe it's like a CIA officer, somebody in the Department of Defense,
Yeah, I definitely.
and he's made a career out of this, and he's basically at the point of retiring, but he gets pulled into one more case, and then while he's working, he comes across his daughter, who is also an operative.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So I mean, talk about awkward, right?
He ain't trying to kill it, did he?
No, no, no,
Oh,
no,
okay. I
no.
was like, that's crazy.
They're both playing for the same team, but they don't know they play
That
for the
they're
same
gotcha,
team.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was on some opposite sides type shit,
No,
and then
no,
they
no,
got
no.
into
It's
a
not like
little.
a spy versus spy kind of deal.
Ah,
It's kind of like a spy working with a spy, but then you have like the family entanglement where it's like, okay, dad's mad that the daughter's doing it
yeah.
and he didn't know. He's also protective of the daughter in a way, and then the daughter's mad, like, damn, dad, you didn't tell the family. But it's a good show.
Okay.
So they had that come out. Then I started watching The Tulsa King, and again, my bias. I'm a big Stallone fan. I'm gonna have to put that one, over the top, so to speak. No pun intended. But man, like just the characters, the storytelling, the action.
Yeah, I mean,
Um, like Stallone, I would love to meet the guy. He
oh
just
yeah.
he just put so much into all of his work and all of his characters. Um, you know, I get to the end of an episode, I'm already ready for the next one. Like season two's out. I finished watching it. I can't wait to see what they do with season three.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about to check that out. Cause I would like is if I want to like, I'm picking a Stallone movie over a Arnold movie
Yeah.
any day.
And kind of going back to like, my childhood. So like I loved Schwarzenegger as a kid because of the one liners, the corniness.
Yeah,
Even that Batman movie, was it Batman
when he was
Forever?
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
He
Freeze.
he really
It was corny. The whole movie was corny, so I can't blame that on him.
no, and it didn't help that the suit sucked.
Yes.
If honestly, if they would have just made the fucking suit how it was in the comic book,
Yeah.
he would have been fine. Like I feel like he would have been all right.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was hella corny. The suit fucking sucked.
Well, if you see
It was
Mr.
just
Freeze
bad
in the
writing.
animated series, like the character is different than how Arnold portrayed him.
Yes.
It was too gimmicky, too funny,
Yes.
unrealistic for me. And I mean, I think that's why that's like the worst Batman movie, in my opinion. If I want to watch something to laugh,
Mm-hmm.
I'll treat it as a comedy,
Oh damn.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know you was going to go that
yeah.
far.
I'm going to go hard on that one. Yeah, I'm not a fan. But yeah, so like the evolution of like Schwarzenegger, when I was a kid, I loved the one lines, the gimmicks, all those characters that he played. But it wasn't until I became an adult that I really transitioned over to like, hey, Stallone's the man. I didn't really like the Rocky movies when I was a kid. I didn't really want to watch fighting. It wasn't the right
Yeah.
action for me. I remember as a kid it being on TV, my parents, grandparents being into it, and just wanting to play outside. Rambo, I think, was a little bit too much for me as a kid. I might have been sheltered from those movies.
I ain't gonna lie, I watched all this shit. I watched all this shit.
But once I became an adult and started watching these movies and getting into the characters, I was like, man, like Stallone is really
Yeah.
good. Don't get me wrong, I still like Schwarzenegger,
Mm-hmm.
but I just needed more and more Stallone movies.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I went ahead and just bought the original 4 Rocky movies up until he fights Ivan Draco.
Mm-hmm.
And I just binge watched all those movies, and this was about 10 years ago. And man, like how have I never just binge watched
Just
these
binge
movies?
watched them.
Yeah. And I mean, that's when I really fell in love with the Rocky character even more. I got to the point that I was really obsessed with the character. I'm like, man, this is like one of the best written,
Oh
best
yeah.
produced stories of all time, and it really is.
He cold at that producing shit. Like he do his thing.
Yeah. And then, so I got inspired. So, there was a phase in my life where I was working out a lot, running a lot, like Rocky. And I got to the point that I finally worked up to where I was doing 5Ks and half marathons and stuff like that. And at one point, I found out that in Philly, they have something called the Rocky Run event that they host every November in Philadelphia. They've been doing this since 2014. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go out there and do the Rocky Challenge. And I went out there. This is in like 2019. I went out there and I did the 5K, which is 3.1 miles,
Mm-hmm.
and then you take a short break, and then you jump into a 10-mile run.
Oh shit.
So you could do the 5K, you could do the 10K, or you can do what's called the Rocky Run, which
Mm-hmm.
is both events. You have just a quick break in between, which is enough to rest up. But that was one of the coolest things I think I've done in my short stint in running.
Let me see this thing. Oh shit, this shit legit.
Right? What I'm saying. And look, I'm gonna tell you, when I crossed that finish line, you know what I did?
Of
Raised up.
course you did.
Yes, sir. And probably the coolest thing about the event wasn't even the event itself. Is you have what is it, the art library or the what is that place?
MG
Art
got you.
museum. Yeah, so you have the art museum up there where you have the Rocky steps.
That's
So
pretty fucking cool.
I got to walk up the steps, stand where Stallone stood when he made the Rocky
Mhm.
movies, and look at the city of Philly. Man, that is such a
Yeah.
view. It's iconic on the screen, and then when you do it in person, it's really
Like, damn, I'm here.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I got goosebumps. Up until this one guy was so friendly, he offered to take our picture. Me and my ex-wife at the time was like, "Hey, you want a picture up here?"
I bet you're like, yes.
Yes, yes. Here's my phone.
Yes.
Take my picture.
Take
And
as
then,
many as you
like,
want.
after he took the picture, he put his hand out. I'm like, oh, the homeless guy. He just knew the event was going on, and he took
Yeah.
advantage and was asking for donations for
Dang.
taking pictures.
Can't even be mad at that.
Got the hustle.
Yeah, I can't even be mad at that. That's
Yep.
some shit I do.
And what's even cooler too is, because I think the Rocky Run may have helped with this, but also just the follow-up movies with the Creed and all that stuff. They have a permanent fixture there. They have the Rocky statue on location outside the art museum too, so you can walk
That
up
is right.
anytime, any day, and just take a picture with that statue. And that's again where I look at Stallone and I'm like, man, like this guy made it.
he made it.
Yep.
He made it. Even though Arnold was the governor of Cali.
Yes, yes.
But
And that's where the divide is. I think like as far as like acting, writing, producing, and all
Yeah,
that,
that's also
Stallone
on.
is the GOAT.
Yeah.
Between the two. Not to hold Arnold down, but to your point, he was the governor of California.
Yeah.
He was Mr. Olympia,
Mm-hmm.
7-time champion between 1970 and 1980.
Yeah, he had a lot of accolades.
And even before that.
Yeah,
Even before that, Mr. Universe, 1967, 68, 69, 1970.
The Pump and Iron movies.
Yeah.
I'm here to pump you up.
Yes. Dude, like imagine like you're at the gym and you see that dude back in the day,
That's
even
what I'm
today.
saying, like that dude huge. He was huge back then. But like I feel like, not trying to, but I be seeing like on a lot of these memes with like these bodybuilders like be going against like other people that are like physically fit and like saying like who the strongest. Like I be seeing like a lot of these bodybuilders not that strong.
No.
They just can just clear a lot of weight, but they really not strong.
Well, Stallone, man,
sure.
he was not Stallone. Schwarzenegger, like that dude lived in the gym. Like
Yeah, he did.
When he was coming up, he was working construction. He was taking acting classes, and he was going to the gym. Like dude didn't even sleep hardly any. And you know what? He was a self-made man.
Yeah, he was self-made. He's self-made.
And I mean, one of the things that I look at the commonality between the both of them were self-made, came from nothing. Arnold, his goal was to move to America and become a celebrity of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And, he started that with bodybuilding, was able to use that to win those competitions, and then landed that spot as Hercules in New York. I think he had another role before that, a smaller role. But that really helped get him the spotlight. And then, he landed Conan the Barbarian. And then from there, it's been a wrap.
Yeah.
And he's one of those people that no matter what he puts his mind to, he's going to do it and he's going to be successful.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what they both have in common, and that's where I'm going to give Schwarzenegger the win, not to take away from Stallone, but Schwarzenegger is one of those guys that, he's very well rounded, not just in acting in Hollywood, but,
oh, for sure.
Everything that he does. So I'm going to give him the GOAT, as far as anything he puts his mind to.
Oh, yeah.
But still, hands down, Stallone is.
Yeah, I'm watching the Stallone movie for that.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
it depends on what movie it is, too. So.
But let's think about something real quick though, right? So let's say you put like Rambo up against Commando or something like that. Who's gonna win that fight? The tough one.
I gotta say Rambo.
Yeah.
I gotta say Rambo. Cause it's only like parts of Commando that I like. You know, I can watch Rambo from start to finish.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I gotta give it a Rambo. I gotta give it a Rambo. What you say against? Let's see, Demolition Man
Oof.
or Last Action Hero?
Ooh. That's a good one.
Yes, I had to give you a toughie.
You know what? I'm gonna say Demolition Man. Solely because he's also gonna have more advanced weapons.
Yes.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, they did lock away most of the more aggressive weapons,
Mm-hmm.
but as you see, they have
Yeah.
access to better weapons.
Yes.
And also, I'm gonna say at this point, Demolition Man, he has a chip on his shoulder after being in ice for so many years.
Yes.
He's gonna bust out of that and cause some havoc.
Yeah. I just like the Last Action Hero. I'm going to say Last Action Hero just for the simple fact it's relatable.
Dude, like I wanted to be that kid.
I wanted to be that
Man.
kid. Yeah. I wanted to be that kid
Like,
to get in that movie.
Fuck Willy Wonka and a golden ticket.
Yeah.
I want the ticket to get into an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Yes.
I don't want nothing to do with the chocolate factory.
Nah.
Forget about the diabetes.
Yeah. Fuck all of that.
Diabetes. Put me in a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want bullets flying at my ass.
Yeah.
I want some kind of crazy car scene.
That's
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. That's why I say I take that. I'll take that Last Action Hero.
That's another movie some people sleep on.
They do.
And you know what? Did he break like the fourth wall or something in that movie too? Because he's what's the guy's name? Is it Jack?
Yeah.
Jack Slater?
Jack Slater.
And he's also Arnold Schwarzenegger in the same fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he references because in that movie, if you remember when they in the Blockbuster store, instead of
I know what you're
him
saying.
in the Terminator,
Stallone is yes,
yeah.
yes. And I think that almost happened too.
Yes.
Yep.
You know the story behind that?
Tell me.
I'm pretty sure it was this movie, but it was one of the ones. This is one of the ones he passed up, and I think it was when he passed it up. He was because him and Arnold would it was like friendly competition. It was like, I ain't taking that movie if he ain't taking it. And they would play tricks on each other. They would purposely not take roles just to be like, oh, that motherfucker take that one. I'm going to take this, And
the funny part about that is that's where the movie Stop Where My Mom Will Shoot came out.
Uh-huh.
So Arnold Schwarzenegger's agent slipped some information to Stallone's agent or Agent C saying that Arnold was eyeing this role, that it was supposed to be a big hit. And then Stallone jumped on it. And, I've seen interviews where he says, it's one of the biggest mistakes, in his career. And he regrets doing that movie. And I'll be honest with you.
It wasn't a bad movie.
It wasn't a bad movie. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Throw Mama from the Train was not a bad movie.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Stop Where My Mom Will Shoot.
Stop Where My Mom Will Shoot. Throw Mama from the Train was Danny DeVito.
I was about to say, what?
Yeah, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, it was a great movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad movie at all. That's crazy that he didn't. Damn. I didn't know that.
The other thing with Terminator 2 is Terminator 1. So with the original casting for the Terminator movie, originally Arnold was casted to play the Kyle Reese character, and Michael Biehn was casted to play the Terminator. Because Schwarzenegger also, his pronunciation of words and stuff like that. So fun fact is, originally he was supposed to be Kyle Reese for that one movie, but then I think they realized, hey, that Arnold Schwarzenegger's build is better to support an endoskeleton and all this stuff. And one other thing too, the line "I'll be back," that almost didn't happen. So Schwarzenegger and James Cameron went back and forth on it, and at the time, Arnold, I felt like he didn't pronounce "all." he wanted to say, "I will be back." You know, and it went back and forth. And James Cameron's like, "No, just do the line, and we'll move forward with it." And that's become one of the most iconic
Yeah.
lines, not only from Arnold Schwarzenegger's career, but also in cinematic history. You know,
Oh
kids, you
yeah.
know, like myself. But if you look at it, it's used in one different variation in all the different Terminator movies. But if you look at Commando, John Matrix says, "I'll be back, Bennett." And then in The Running Man in 1987, you got Ben Richards says, "I'll be back." Twins, Julius Benedict says, "If you're lying to me, I'll be back." Then you got Douglas Quaid in Total Recall, "I'll be back."
That was one of my favorites too. Twins. Twins was a good movie.
Yes, it was. And then you got Last Action Hero, Jack Slater says it, "I'll be back." And he says it 3 times in that movie. And then you got Expendables 2. So you got a gunfight in the airport. And Trench, which is Schwarzenegger's character, says, "I'm almost out. I'll be back." So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's become pretty much a staple of
Oh
his.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I hope he didn't copyrighted that shit and he getting paid off of it. I
you know,
hope.
just like, what's that, Paris Hilton? That's hot. I'm pretty sure she had trademarked that.
I hope she did.
Well, Raphael, looks like we're about out of time.
Man, you ain't never lied.
Had a lot of fun comparing notes with Schwarzenegger and Stallone.
Oh yeah, man.
Interested in hearing what other people have to say. If we got it right, if we got it wrong, if you got a different opinion, because that's all we're sharing today is our opinions.
That's all. That's all.
But guys, we will see you next time.
Yes, we will be back.
I'll be back.